Welcome to episode number 8 of the Feed Your Soul podcast. I can't believe it's my last episode, and I am very excited and honored to have one of my very good friends, fellow entrepreneur, Judy Fullerton, here to join me for the last episode. Thanks for being here.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Serena.
Yay!
Well, I'm nervous.
I know you're nervous.
Because it's out of my box.
I love it, and I love that we do things outside of our comfort zones and our boxes, and you know what? You'll be just fine. We'll just have conversation, but to start things off, Jude, I didn't tell you this part.
What?
We're going to warm up a little bit, and we're going to do like a 30-second, actually 10-second little chair dance.
Oh, no. Did she let you know that Zumba and dancing's not my thing?
I know. Again, another
pushes
thing.
me out of my box.
See, there you go. So it's called a soul second. So we do it just to like get our bodies moving, and I just want you to have fun, listen to some music. Oh my God, so good. Thank you, Judy. There we go.
This is what I love about Serena.
Oh my God.
I think about the two of us.
Yes.
I push you out of your box to do things that you're not comfortable with, vice versa.
100%.
Dancing is one of them.
And dancing is not Judy's thing, and she told me that. Like, actually, Judy used to come to my studio, and you would Zumba was not your thing. I think you did it once or twice.
Once or twice.
Yeah. But bar and ride was.
So I think that's what's really great, though, and I think that's what this is about, right?
Yes.
To keep pushing yourself to do things that you're not comfortable with.
Yeah, totally.
Otherwise, it's totally status quo.
Yes.
Complacent.
And then when you do things outside of your comfort zone, you actually feel good. Like, don't you feel like were you still a little nervous after you danced, or do you feel way better?
Well, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to be uncomfortable.
Yes.
But it's just, maybe it's a little embarrassing, or it's a little bit, you feel awkward. It's just not your jam.
Yeah.
But
when you do it, you did it.
I did it. It's fine now. I'm over it.
That's so awesome. So I'm going to rewind a little bit, Judy. And I think you know this story already, but it was my dad. I remember this was probably many, many years ago. I'd say like 12 to 15 years ago.
Yep.
My dad kept talking about this. Oh, Judy, she is the best. She is the miracle worker, and she is amazing. And so what you guys don't know about Judy is she is probably one of the best physios I've ever been to. You have magic hands. There is just something about you that is special. And so when I got to finally meet you, which was, I think, through my studio or something.
Right when you opened.
Yeah, when I opened.
Yeah.
I said, and you're like, hi, I'm Judy from Easthill Physio. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're the Judy my dad keeps talking about. So I'm like, what an honor to like meet you and to know you. And yeah, so you had a very successful physiotherapy clinic that you opened. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey into how you got into physio and how you decided to open doors?
So when I was in my early 20s, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I was sort of bumming around.
Yeah.
Much to my mom's despair.
Yes.
And then I hurt my knee.
Okay.
And I had to do surgery and all of these things to get it better.
Yeah.
And I had to go to physio. And I fell in love with physio.
Amazing.
It was like a light bulb went on. And I decided that's what I'm doing. And I put my head down and I just spent the years getting the credits that I needed to do it.
Yeah.
And then, so I was physio. And then...
So was that 20 years ago?
1995, I went to school.
So that is like 30
years ago. So
yeah.
I've been a physio for 25 years.
Wow.
And then once I graduated, I worked, busy clinics downtown Vancouver.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Vernon.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was a different landscape.
Yes.
A little bit behind the times
Yeah.
as far as what I had been used to. And I didn't find a place that I fit in.
Yeah.
So I said, I got to do it on my own.
Wow.
And I had no intention of owning a business, nor did I have any skills.
Wow.
And so I opened my own business. And then I was in this tidal wave of not knowing what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I knew how to do the physio,
Yeah.
which attracted the clients,
Yeah.
but I didn't know how to run the business. So that opened up a whole different chapter of learning.
Totally. It must
Yeah.
have freaked you out a little bit, but Were you just riding the wave? Like,
riding the wave.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even realize the enormity of it.
Yeah.
Until I, 3 or 4 years in, I was like, I do not have the business skills that I need to make this successful.
Oh, wow.
So then I just like, I need help. And I think that's okay as an entrepreneur to, we don't know everything. And we certainly don't have the business skills if we have a skill set like physio.
Yeah.
So you have to seek help. And that's, I think the turning point is you can choose help or you don't.
Yeah.
And I decided I needed to seek out experts and get my business skills up top notch.
So amazing.
So I did coaching. I had business coaches,
Amazing.
different business coaches myself for like 15 years.
So you really, actually, we've had a conversation about this, but you feel it really did help you in all levels of your business.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I don't know if I would be here today, being able to sell it and get everything, all the systems and the operations in place.
Yeah.
And the people and everything that you need to have a business be top notch.
Right.
Without someone guiding me.
Amazing.
And I think that's what's so amazing about this journey.
Yeah.
Is that you can never do it on your own.
No, you can't.
You always need different people, like your circle, to help build you up and to learn things and to grow.
And so what I love about that is, I'm sure the coaching came at a cost, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you had to decide, like, even if you're just starting up a business, there really is no extra money, because you're really just trying to like make ends meet in the first few years, right?
Yeah.
So for you to decide to invest in coaching, it was probably an investment for yourself, really.
Yeah, and it was tight. Like, I didn't have any money. I would pay the coach rather than pay myself.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was just missing this knowledge set that I needed.
Yeah.
And so this woman that I first hired was worth it.
Yeah.
And she was awesome.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was like a light bulb went on.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then I knew what I didn't know.
Yeah, which was so cool.
And then as I worked with her through the years, and then moved on to different coaching, higher level stuff, every penny of it was worth it.
See? So it is an investment and it is worth it. But you really have to find someone that understands.
Yeah.
First of all, like, you got to find the right fit, right? Like, they understand you as a person. They understand you and your business. So then that will be able to help your relationship grow as a coach.
I think it's like any relationship, right? Like, you have to find your fit. And I think there's a million different business coaches out there. Maybe they're more for big corporations or they're, but you have to find the person that gets you.
Right.
And I happened to find that this woman who, she really opened my eyes to how much I needed to learn.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like a fire. Oh, like, you can take it defensively or you can be like, okay, I'm full on and that's the way I operate. I'm 100% in or not.
Yes.
That's my motto.
I know you are.
So I think that's why business coaching works. For people.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how it's evolved to what I'm doing today. Because it just inspires me to help people that where I was.
Yes.
So many years ago.
I think that is like such a blessing into kind of what you're doing, is helping people get through that stage. And the best part about that is you've been through it,
Yeah.
Like, when you find someone who actually hasn't done what you've done, or they can't understand your feelings, but when you can understand where they're at, whether they're struggling with whatever part of their business they're struggling in, because I think as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we've struggled through every part of the journey.
Well, I think that's why we really connected.
Yes.
Because we were both going through like rough times there, because small business is so tough.
Yes.
So we connected that we could experience those same feelings.
Yes.
Where no one else can.
No.
Right?
And I think that was like the light. I would just start speaking to you and all of a sudden you'd be like, oh yeah, I get it.
I
I'm
get it.
oh my God.
I get it.
I'm like,
Yeah,
you
that
get
happened.
it?
Yeah.
You get it? You actually understand like what I'm feeling? You understand. Yeah. And I feel like, so we connected at Soul, and then I think we just started talking about business together.
Yeah.
And what I loved about that is finding another entrepreneur that's in not a competitive field, because we weren't direct competition, but I feel like as a business owner, you need to find someone who can understand your feelings.
Yeah, because you can't talk to your staff about this.
No.
Your spouse only has a limited capacity
It's so
to
true.
hearing what you have to say.
Yeah.
And other friends that don't have their own businesses don't get it.
No.
And your family doesn't want to hear it.
No,
right?
that's true.
But so this same business coach that I hooked up with many years ago, she connected me with one of her clients.
Oh, okay.
And it's funny because just yesterday I got an email from him. I hadn't talked to him in 2 years.
Yeah.
We talked every month for 7 years.
Really?
He lives in New Brunswick. I'd never met him in person.
Oh my God.
We always talked on the phone, and we would just share stories, share experiences, share solutions, vent.
Yes.
And then he sold his business, I sold my business, and then we kind of drifted apart a little bit.
Yeah.
Yesterday I got an email and he was telling me how happy he was and the stuff he was doing.
Oh my God.
And I think it was just I'm like, that was such a great person to have, to talk to, like you.
Yeah.
And you have to have your circle.
You do have to have your circle. And I think throughout my soul years, I was very lucky to find people that were able to give me guidance, or that got it, or that was that, go ahead, Serena, or questioning sometimes, like, are you sure that this is what you want to do? And sometimes even though people would be like, are you sure that's what you want to do? Sometimes deep down inside, when you've got that fire, you're like, yeah, you know what? This is what I want to do. And then you just got to go for it,
Well, I think a lot of it is intuition as an entrepreneur. Yeah, you go by data and you go by numbers and stuff like that. But sometimes you just know in your heart, I got to go there, and I am going there no matter what. And then you're driven, right? Driven
100%, and nothing will get into your way. Yeah. I love that feeling.
Well, I think that's how, when I started my business, I was a bit naive. Yeah. But I knew. Yeah. This is what I got to do, is I want to give top-notch healthcare. Yes. No compromise, no crappy treatments going on. This is what I'm doing. Yeah. And I think that blinded me to the reality of how hard it is to keep a business sustainable. Yes. But in some ways it was good. Right?
I do, because that's where your drive came from. Yeah. So speaking about really and truly, the businesses that we opened and ran were built through passion. You had a passion for helping people because you believed in what physio did. Yeah. I had the passion for, making people move no matter what they look like or how they feel, Yeah. And because that was our expertise, you're right, we can't be experts at everything. And that's where I feel like people try to be everything all the time.
But I don't think you can have a successful business without that passion and fire.
Yes.
You can't.
No, you can't.
And some people start businesses and you can see that they're going to fail because their heart's not in it.
That's right.
I don't know, I saw these stats on the failure rate of small businesses, 50% or something in first 5 years.
I know.
But I think it's because there's no heart.
There is no heart. Because it's the heart and that fire that drives us. And I had a conversation with Kylie Routley, who's the founder of Back to Earth. Yeah. She said the exact same thing. Yeah. She just said, I have that fire within. And I love her speaking that and you speaking that, because I'm like, I know that feeling. Yeah. And that's what we were even saying for people that want to start businesses, is find that fire and then fuel it. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. How many mistakes did we make? Probably.
Oh, a million. I mean, and you have to take risks. Yeah. But it's calculated risk because it's going on your heart, right? Yeah. You know that that's the right thing to be doing. Yeah. So I think it's just, it's very rewarding in the end. Oh, yeah. Right? To feel like that. Yeah. But it does take its toll, and I think you can't just lead a business just on heart indefinitely.
You're right.
You still have to have that exterior help.
Yeah, because your business has to survive in the end. You know what I mean? It's got to make business sense, Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So you were also, I love that we were able to share our struggles through business as well, because I think a lot of people don't talk about the struggle, and what I was talking to Kylie about was everything looks like a pretty picture sometimes outside in the media or on social
to the staff.
Or to the staff. Yeah. But what they don't know is the behind the scenes, which is sometimes gut wrenchingly hard, right? Yeah. But we would always have to walk into our space with a smile on our face and get things going. But I feel like when we had an outlet of each other to talk about, or you had your coaching,
the truth of it.
Yeah. And to be able to speak the truth to somebody, I think helped me a lot too. Otherwise, you're just holding a lot of things in. Yeah. So I felt like it was kind of like my own business therapy.
Well, I think there's some shame. Yeah. I've been reading Brené Brown. Yeah. I don't know if you read her, Dare to Lead. Yeah. And it was just sort of an eye-opener, about embracing shame. You don't have to be embarrassed that your business isn't where you want it to be, or it's tough behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go into work and complain to all your staff,
No.
but you can recognize that, and you find your people that be like, this is how I feel. I feel like I should be here, but I'm not.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
It
like,
is
to be
okay.
vulnerable and to say, this is friggin' hard. This is hard, but and you can't do that every day to your staff, because you're the leader. You gotta be up. But you can also be vulnerable with them, and show them that this is friggin' hard. Yeah, you can say that. Yeah. But the real venting comes from
the true
finding
venting.
People that
Yes. And I do feel like you just made a great point, is like you can share that with your team to a point, because I feel like when you're a part of something and you understand kind of like what's going on, like you actually want to do more or be more or be a part of the team. Which was creating culture in a business was like huge on my list for me. Like there was just something about creating a culture that I felt like if we could create some sort of amazing culture, it will just funnel into the participants.
Well, culture is everything, right?
Yeah.
Culture trumps everything.
Yeah, it does.
So I didn't even realize that at the beginning myself. Yeah. You can have systems and everything all kind of structured, but it doesn't work unless you get the people to buy in.
That's right.
And that was a big eye opener. What I learned over the years. To you, it came naturally. Yeah. But to me, I think it was I got to really work on this.
Yeah. And working on team building is it's so important. Yeah.
But you got to collect the right people.
You do.
And at the beginning, I didn't necessarily know that. Yeah. And over the years, you weed out the people that don't fit, and you keep the people that got the same drive and passion as you. Right?
Especially doing what you do. And I think that's so important. And again, I keep referring back to Kylie's conversation I had, but we talked about like sometimes you have that one person that fits all the right puzzle piece, but there's just a gut feeling that there was something that's just not right. You know what I mean? So like we were saying, like kind of go with your gut instinct, I think, as being an entrepreneur. And we've all learned. I mean, we've all either been, burned or whatever, things like that here and there. And like Kylie had mentioned the same type of scenario, but I feel like things always just happen for a reason.
Well, I think even when you get burned or you have some roadblock or obstacle or some failure, that is for me, those were the turning points for me as a person and for my business. That you can choose to learn from them, or you can
dig yourself a
wallow
hole
in it 100%. And don't change. And I can look back at 3 or 4 big ones that happened to me over the years. And when I look back, they were the best things that ever happened.
Always.
Not at the time.
No.
But now, like later. It was like it was so important for it to happen.
Yeah. And that's where I feel like, maybe as, depending on what I do with my life, after this or ongoing, I feel like that's such a great lesson, because I'm really trying not to take, like, if something happens that it's not how I think in my head, I am now, like, I have some sort of peace with it. Like,
it's not for you.
No, it's not for me. So I just, like, swallow my pride and be like, you know what, this is obviously not meant for me, or something is going to happen down the road. So I feel like I'm really trying to incorporate a less stress, like that feeling that you get.
I think you got to put your ego aside.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Like as a leader, just as a person, like if something doesn't go your way, it's not for you.
It's not for you.
And you can't try to force your way into the situations or people that aren't your fit.
No. And forcing, I feel, takes... And I look back to at my journey at Soul, like I feel like when I tried to force things, and then I look at like what the outcome was, but then I also look at what that feeling did to me. So I'm like, oh, why constantly try to force something that's not going to work? But I feel like that is when you push your ego aside. But I also feel like people are like fixated on it. So if you can just let go of that and just like let it flow, it turns out.
But they're the turning points.
Yes.
And for me, like it just has changed me so much as a person.
That's so awesome.
And to grow into different ways, like even selling my business.
Yes.
I feel like, I was pretty apprehensive, like no income and
you're freaking out.
You work your whole life, and I'm not too old not to work. I'm perfectly capable. What next? So if you keep an open mind and you say, I'm going to try everything that comes across my plate. And keep an open mind, and then I'll decide. okay, that's not for me.
Yeah.
But you can't decide until you do it.
And totally. And you have to do it. You have to give it that shot.
And I can't even believe it. Like, look at our life now.
I know.
Like, there's so many opportunities, just like every week.
Every week.
Different people and different things. Like, if you had asked me 5 years ago that we'd be
doing what we're doing every day, and sometimes nothing. I know. I'd be like, that's crazy. It is crazy because we weren't wired that way. So I'm gonna rewind again to I have this photo that always sticks into my mind of you and I that we took a picture of, and it was when COVID first hit.
When we were golfing?
Yeah. But I think you and I had worked ourselves like literally to the bone. Yeah. And you can know the feeling, like I know the feeling, and exactly. it actually brings me back to like,
that tight feeling in your chest.
Yeah, and you can't you can't breathe. You don't know like what's going on. But I think you and I were like, let's go do something fun for ourselves. So we made ourselves go golfing, right?
And it was fun.
It was so fun. But I remember I'm like, hey Jude, let's take a photo. And the reason why I like to take a lot of photos in my life is because I like to remember how I felt at that time. Yeah. So I took a photo, and I remember looking at our eyes. Both of us look like we have actually zero life in us. Yeah. We are there trying to smile, trying to have fun for a half an hour, even though we're thinking about, or 2 hours, even though we're thinking about what we're going to do tomorrow for our business, how are we going to get online for COVID. Yeah. But it was that feeling of like empty.
Yeah. And I think if you... like business is so hard that passion and that drive and that heart that made you start it. Yeah. Unless you get help and you do things properly along the way, or circumstances like COVID just changed the whole landscape altogether. Yeah. I think you get that sucked out of you. Yeah. And then your purpose to drive the business forward is gone. Yeah. And then you're just
hamster wheel.
Treadmill.
Yeah. And then I feel like towards the end of it, like I did have the fire right at the beginning to like continue and to go and to get people moving. But I think like not knowing it was going to last 2.5 years. Yeah. I couldn't run on my treadmill anymore. No. Because I was like, literally being that person, the one person doing everything. And I feel like, that was a part of my life where I also had to make a decision. Actually, COVID made a decision for me. Yeah, exactly. And that's when, again, I don't take it as a failure. Like I don't take it like that. I say, that happened. The decision was made because it was made for a reason.
It was made for you.
It was made,
and it was the right decision. Yeah. Because look at what it's led to now. Yeah. That's the way I always look at these crossroads, right? Yeah. What's next?
I know.
And someone said to me, like, what are you going to do in retirement? Like, even my mom said that. Yeah. Like, they just can't possibly fathom that somebody that I worked 12-hour days for so long, 7 days a week, what is she possibly going to do with her time? Now I can't even imagine having that because I can't fit everything in that I like to do. Right? I think some people who retire, they don't have that because they don't have the curiosity or the open-mindedness to try things. But for me, it's like... relationships that I sort of kept half-assed, projects, activities that I like to do. Yeah. Everything for the last 20 years I did half-assed because I had no time. No. That now it's just like full on. Well, I'm like 100% into everything I like to do.
Like golf, for example. Like golf. We would golf just to get our golf games in and have fun. Yeah. But our minds were never in the present moment. And this is also something I'm learning. Present. Yes, is when we're in business and we're doing things. I think it can change though. Like if I were to do things differently and maybe do something else, I feel like I would do things a lot differently and try to be more present. But there's that fire that just like, it just like takes you and you have no idea where you're going. It's like
I think I would do it differently too. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to say that in hindsight. But I think I would do it differently, like not sweat the small stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think you always have to be looking forward. It's a little bit more difficult to just live in that moment in a business because there's so many people that are dependent on you to keep the show running for their incomes. Yes. And that's the part that also drove me, is that I don't want anybody to not have enough work.
I know. Right? So you want, and you want to be able to,
So it's easy to say.
It is easy to say.
Different, but when I look back at some of the stress and stuff I stewed about, I don't care now. And I wonder... why I wasted so much of my energy on that.
Yeah. And I also feel like when you start
it didn't matter.
No, it didn't matter. So the other thing too is I think being more in tune with your body and what stress does to your body. Mm-hmm. So like I remember coming in during COVID, and we would actually, when I would come in for treatment for physio, it was like a therapy.
It was a counseling treatment.
It was like therapy.
It was mixed.
It was counseling. And you would just come to the door, and I remember just looking at you, drained and exhausted, and you're looking at me, drained and exhausted. My body literally was stuck, like everywhere, hips, neck. And you were like, what, you're working on me, and we're having therapy sessions, and it was
But what was so great about those?
Yeah.
When I look back at those, is the energy transfer.
Yeah.
Like I could see that you were depleted. I'm giving her this.
Yeah.
And you could see that I needed like more mental pick me up.
Yeah.
And we shared it.
Aww,
I think we did. And that's what I feel like my whole work has been about. It's about energy.
Yeah.
And you can be a really great physio skill-wise, and you can know everything textbook.
Yeah.
But you have to have that energy piece to give to people.
Yes.
To build them up.
Yes.
And it actually bumps you up.
Builds you up. Yeah. It's like a win-win. I think we always need to be in relationships that are win-win and that are easy. Yeah. Because any relationship that is a struggle is not a good thing. And that's where, like, we get excited now, like you and I, like after, so successfully you've sold your business, which I'm super, super proud of you. I think you should be so proud of yourself because of what you've done. So like, this is the thing is I really admire entrepreneurs. Like I really hold them at a high level because it's the grit.
Yeah. To get there.
Yeah. And what you did, you painted a perfect picture, really.
But you know what? I did it with help.
Yes, of course you did.
Like I did it with getting the expertise from business coaches and then higher level business coaching to set it up, to sell it for a very good price or whatever, so I can do other things like this. Of course. But I feel proud of it. Yeah. Because there was so many years that I wanted to pull the plug, right? Like I just didn't feel good. My health was suffering, relationships suffering. Yeah. And so I do feel good, and I'm so proud of what we built, and it's still in a good position today. That's so amazing. And I feel proud when I go by or people tell me. Yesterday, somebody said to my husband, they said he was wearing a sweatshirt with our logo on it, and someone said to him, "Oh, do you work there?" And he said, "Well, we owned it." He's like, "Oh, I love it." So the legacy of it makes me feel proud.
And even going in there now, like since I've needed physio, like it's the same thing. What you've built is still there, which I feel like is a great thing. And the people that are working on me now, no Judy, but they still give me the quality care and physio that they do. So I love that you stuck to your guns on what was important to you. So that's another thing about starting business is like what is important to you is what you should try and give back.
But I also feel like you reach a point where, it's like a top athlete in NHL. They got to go out at the top of their game, not when they're going over the curve. And after COVID, and my mom was sick for a long time, and I was just juggling so many balls and not being able to manage everything. I remember. Right? Yeah. And so I'm like, this is really good. It's in the top peak form, the business. I want to shift. I realize what's important. Yeah. My friends, my family, taking time, looking after myself, looking after my health. Yeah. That's why I sold it at that time.
Because that's what you needed. It was in a
good shape too.
See? That's so good.
And some people were like, "Oh, well, you could keep it another 10 years and you could make this much." But to me, it's not about money. No. You have to have some money. Yeah, of course. But to me, it was more about passing it on to someone who has the capability to just drive it forward. Yeah. And I can shift my focus, which is what I've done in the last 2 years.
Which I think is awesome.
And it's fabulous. I can't even believe what has happened in the last 2 years. I think for the first 6 months I was stunned. Oh yeah. I don't know I don't even remember.
Well, we went for a walk because I was stunned as well. We go from like being the busiest people to like we're not sure what we're doing.
Speed walking.
Yeah. Like, so I'm like, okay, let's go for a walk. And then I'm like, oh my God, we're just because that's all we learned. It was a fast pace. Yeah. But I've actually learned how to walk at a slower pace now, and I actually do enjoy it.
But I think it's unlearning. Yeah. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. No. I think, like, somebody asked me this the other day, too. They said, what am I going to do? They just sold their business. And I said, well, give yourself a year. At least. Because you can't You can't unwind and not have the lists and the things every minute of your day planned. It takes time to practice doing it differently. And I'm still not good at it.
No.
Like, I still got lists, and I got to do this, this, and this. And it's like, what do you got on the plate? Well, I got to do shopping and laundry.
Now it's like different things on your list. It's not like marketing and all this kind of stuff. Now we got like different chores on our list.
Yeah. But I think it's still important to have a purpose and things that you're passionate about, even though they're not necessarily financial.
No.
And now I'm passionate about health.
Yeah. Keeping yourself fit. That's the other thing I was going to say is that I think you made such a great decision, because you're right. People would say to you like, hey, why not work for like 10 more years? But I'm like, if you're able-bodied, like you're physically fit, you know what I mean? Like you're young and you can feel like you can actually do things. Where some people retire, their bodies give out, they can't walk, you know, their hips hurt.
And they didn't have time to cultivate other interests and kind of relationships. So then it gets kind of too late.
It does.
I don't want to be too late.
No.
And this is like prime time.
Oh,
I mean, we still got like years of good things ahead.
Oh, yeah.
And I just really like that. Well, what I like about you and I is that you have your different things that you are very good at, like dancing and the Zumba and these things, and you push me out of my box. Like,
I think you've done a few TikToks with me too.
TikTok. So, and then I push you.
Yes,
like,
you do push me. Like, come,
right?
and like you push me, especially in pickleball, like because you're super athletic, and we
look at how well we've done.
I know, and that's something that
I think we give each other confidence that way in different areas, right?
Yeah. And that's where I think team and a relationship really does work. So, like, so when Judy and I first kind of had no business in our hands, we really, from the beginning, connected. We're like, okay, let's try something new. And so it was about almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
Like about a year and a half.
Golf first. And then
golf.
Pickleball.
Yeah. Then we're like, let's try pickleball. And I've never played racket sports before. I have no idea what's happening. But I'm like, I want something new so I can move my body and feel really good. And you're like, okay, let's do it. So I called up a friend and we went to pickleball, and she kind of coached us on it. And we loved it.
We were terrible.
We were terrible, but we loved it. Like, it was like, oh my God, the feeling of something new. I think it's the feeling of doing something or being presented with something and knowing that you can get better at it.
Yeah.
I think that's where we are like driven.
Yeah. Well, I like to do things well.
Me too.
Because it feels rewarding to do things well. Like baking.
Yeah.
Okay, for the record, I hate baking. I've always hated baking. Never wanted to bake. Serena says you have to do it with love. I'm like, oh, and a mixer.
And a KitchenAid mixer.
And a mix. Yeah. But the first time I actually was in the moment doing it, I actually enjoyed it. I mean, you do it to feed other people.
And remember the energy transfer that we talk about? It's the same thing. It's like it's the energy transfer.
I 100% get it. I mean, it's not like I'm going to bake every day.
No,
but
now you have a mixer sitting on your counter.
Yeah, but even besides baking, like just relationships, like your family or everything, it's about having the time and being in the moment, because you don't know how long that's going to last. Yeah. So it's the same thing. You're just putting your love into everything you do.
Everything.
Whereas when you're run off your feet and you're tired and you haven't had time to look after yourself, you can't do it.
No. And that's where I feel like people really need rest and time off. Yeah. Like, and I know as an entrepreneur you don't get that, but I feel like you could schedule it in. Like, now that I look back, there's a lot of things that I did that I could have timed a bit better, or been like, you know what, I'm not working today, because like, then shift it to something else, you know what I mean? Yeah. And do something for the day that will just re-energize you. Yeah. Because if you don't work on yourself, and that's kind of why I opened Soul too, was to help people give back to themselves. Yeah. Because you can't be a good mom. No. You can't be a good wife. You can't be a good husband. No. Like, you can't be a good boss. Like, if you do not look after yourself and make yourself the best version that you can be, how are you supposed to help other people?
Well, you know what's really rewarding about this coaching I'm doing with young entrepreneurs? Yes. You know, they're in their 20s. They don't know what the hell they're doing. I see myself
in them.
Years ago, I try to prevent them from going down the same path, and it just fills me up. Oh. And I'm like, why don't you guys just take Friday off? Just take Friday off.
Yes.
And they're like, we can't take Friday off.
Yes,
why not? Do you think that the world's going to fall apart if you don't? Yeah. But it just fills me up.
Oh, yeah.
And so this kind of work I'm doing now is just it's nothing financial.
No.
It's not my physio skill set necessarily.
It's your business.
But it's my business
and life
skill set. That I can help people go down a different path and see it differently.
Yes.
And they kind of do, right? But I can see the same stress and this. I can feel it. Just by looking at them, I can feel it.
Yeah.
And I turn them a different way.
Yeah.
It fills me up.
Oh, man. And I think that you have become a blessing in their life, like your coach became a blessing in your life. And I feel like that, to me, is what life is all about. You know, like that recirculation of how I can help other people, you know, be the best versions of them, or prevent them from doing something that...
Or making them the same mistake that you did that just kills you, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I met this lady the other day. Well, she's a neighbor. They came over for some drinks at her house.
Yeah.
She's 60.
Yeah.
And she said, you know, she's retired, but she's super fit. She looks great. And she goes, I just decided when I turned 60... making my health is not an option. It's first before anything else. So every day she's bike riding, she's paddle boarding, she's doing... And I thought that was such a great philosophy, because then she can look after her grandchildren and her husband. But you can't do it unless you do that first.
No.
And as an entrepreneur for so long,
we're
always
spewing
like
out.
Second.
It actually becomes at the bottom of the list, Drew. Like, I don't, you know, as much as I say everybody, okay, get your exercise in and do all this stuff. Like, I was getting my exercise in because I had to teach, but I wasn't mindfully getting my exercise in.
Doing something you enjoy that fills you up.
That replenishes me, you know, and then also keeps my body active. So I love...
It's not really an option.
No, it's not an option.
Especially as you get towards 60. Yeah. If you don't have that, and you can't walk, or your joints are sore...
I say if you don't have health, you don't have anything. Like, and that's where I wake up every day grateful for my health, you know, but I've also put the work in, you know, like I've put the work in for moving my body, how I fuel my body, eating properly, you know, trying to be on less medications, you know, like how to naturally heal the body. And part of it too is actually doing things with people, you know, because that is also part of a process that kind of gets you going.
I also think it's changed as much the type of exercise and the pushing that we used to do. It's like, okay, you got an hour, I'm going to make this workout the hardest I can. Now, like if I go for a walk for an hour, I go for a mountain bike for an hour, it doesn't have to be the hardcore training. No. And what I used to do is I always had fitness goals to fit in with my business. I'm going to do this triathlon, I'm going to do the swimming, I do the Ironman, and I got this schedule. And then I don't know when it happened, but somewhere in the last few years, I don't want that.
No.
But every day I wake up and it's like, okay, an hour and a half. There's something that's got to happen. And it doesn't have to be where I'm dead tired afterwards.
No, and like a walk is A-okay. Like, and that's so to like also here, like I like to plan like one physical activity a day, because like the more you push your body as we get older, everything hurts, right? So you really want to just like kind of take it easy a little bit.
It doesn't have to be hardcore.
No, it doesn't have to be hardcore, and I love saying that now.
That's how our philosophy has always been. Full on, most bang for the buck, right? Every single minute counts.
Every minute.
Right?
And like to the point where I was laughing at myself because I went shopping yesterday, and I used to like look at these people shopping and be like, what are they doing? Like, just like looking at things. Like, I don't understand, because every time I went shopping, whether it was grocery shopping, Christmas shopping, I knew what I was getting. I was in the store, out the store. I'm like, I got a half an hour. I'm going to pick up 5 gifts.
Me too.
Grocery store. I'm like, I need this. I would never take the time to stop and be like, oh, what is this ingredient?
Yeah.
And then my sister would be like, oh, have you tried this? And have you tried this? I'm like, where do you find those things? Like, I would get the same things all the time on repeat. And I didn't even know what was in a grocery store.
Well, sometimes I think when you're that busy with business, you lose your curiosity.
Yeah.
Your curiosity gets squelched, right?
Great
Because
point.
you just don't have time.
Yes.
And curiosity is what drives you.
Yeah.
This whole world.
Yeah.
Like if you have curiosity, then you might as well just pack it in.
Yeah.
And
be curious and dive in.
Yeah, not just with shopping.
No, but I get you.
Curious about that person.
Yeah.
Or taking time to have a conversation with that person. Or curious to try that sport.
Yes.
But if you lose that, you have nothing.
Nothing.
Right?
Yeah, totally. And I think curiosity has been our thing, like, since we've had the last couple of years together, because we're like, let's try something new.
Yeah.
Well, so let's say, for example, Judy and I, we joke how we're so similar in our personalities, but we started off in pickleball. Then all of a sudden we started playing like the Tuesday nights with all these ladies.
It's out of our box.
Out of our comfort zones. Also,
competitive racket sport?
Yeah. Yeah, and we would get our butts kicked. Like, literally, we would leave there. I think we had lost every single game, you know.
Yeah,
cream. And not even just losing, like pickled, like, which means 0. Like, 11-0. Yeah. And I'm just like, I would come home and Ryan would be like, so how'd you do? I'm like, we got pickled, you know, like, we keep losing. And then all of a sudden, we continued on. We didn't let that stop us,
no.
and we signed up for a first tournament that we did a few months ago.
And curious about getting better,
yes.
take the lessons, look on YouTube, ask the questions for people who are playing.
Yes.
How do you do that? Oh, okay, we practiced some things, some
yes.
drills.
And we learned.
Oh, yeah.
And now, like, we're actually, like, way better. Like, we're actually, like, winning most of our games, or at least, like, super, super close. The tournament was completely out of our comfort zone.
We got to go back and do that.
So we're going to do it. No, that was a bust. And I remember, like, well, we had cute outfits. We got matching outfits.
Yes.
And, of course, we had to look the part. But I think what was really nerve-wracking about for me was, like, the unknown of the tournament feel.
Yeah.
You know, even though I have no problem being in front of crowds, like, and dancing in front of everybody, but pickleball was completely out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I got to give us credit. We had a couple of really amazing games.
But I also think, you know, as you get older, you know, there's an expression for it. But as you get into your 50s, you just don't give a F anymore.
Yes. There's a book like that too, but it's true.
And so doing things out of your box becomes less... Well, it's
daunting.
still a little bit awkward, but you're not afraid to do it.
Yeah.
You're just awkward and kind of fumbling.
Yeah.
But I actually don't care.
No.
Like what people think of you, and I really feel like it's a real freeing time in life to not worry about what you look. Well, we like to look good, but not like I'm not afraid to try things because people are watching or whatever. I think it's really being
more in tune with you, and not the outside surrounding. I think is like when you really get dialed in. And I think that's part of the unlearning, right?
Yeah.
And part of the learning is how to get dialed in to yourself.
Yeah.
And like what fuels you.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think this is just the tip of the iceberg now.
I know.
Like we've gone on to a number of different things that we're doing.
Yeah. Like cross-country skiing is next.
Cross-country skiing.
I got ski.
And swimming in the winter.
And swimming in the summer.
But I think it's just the tip of the iceberg if you keep that curiosity.
Yeah.
So my dad's 90, right?
Yeah, crazy.
And my dad is been always super curious.
Oh, he has.
Oh yeah. Like he wants to stop and look at everything. Yeah. He wants to go for drives, look at this, and he still has it.
I love it.
At 90, and
that's probably why he's at 90 still.
Yeah, I think it is because he always wants to know someone's story. He always wants to go on little trips. He wants to check out puddle around in a store.
Amazing.
Looking at everything.
Yeah.
And I realized it yesterday that it's about his curiosity.
Yes.
Like he's not ready to just sit down and just be done. Life is flatlined.
No.
It's like, what's that? What's that? You know?
Yeah, at 90.
So
that's an inspiration though. And that's the lesson to be learned, I feel like, you know, continue to stay curious. And age doesn't matter. No. And that's what I love. Like your dad is still 90. He's out there, he's golfing, like doing all the things. So like sometimes we feel like, oh, you get to like 75, 80 or whatever, you think that like life's going to be over for you, but no, like
I think it just shifts. Like, you know, in your 50s, maybe you're more physically able to do more sports or something, and maybe that slows down a little bit. Yeah. But it doesn't have to.
No.
Right?
Oh, totally.
I think it just shifts. And the other part of it, I think that I kind of learned from my mom.
Yeah.
Is when I look back at her life was about doing things for other people. Yeah. Not just her kids.
Yeah. For others.
Strangers, neighbors, anybody she would meet. Yeah. She would always be like,
love it,
baking them cookies or let me fix your coat or whatever it is. And every day I think she woke up to make it her purpose to do something to make someone else's life. So I kind of learning from them as examples to be curious and to be seeing what I can do for someone else. At least one thing every day.
Yeah, and that's the best of both worlds.
It can be tiny, right?
And that's the thing. It does not have to be a big gesture, you know? No. Like it just has to be something small. And that actually, I laugh because I feel like that's where my baking has filled my void of not teaching, because I literally bake to give away, you know, and I just enjoy that part of it because it feeds me, you know, and it's that part of giving back. And it's such a good feeling.
So I think you just get this energy, like I used to get it from my patients. You know, I give to them and it fills me up because they feel better. Yeah. You just have to find those different ways to, you give, the more you give, the more you get. Right?
Yeah, it's true.
And so I think it's just a different, it's just completely different. It's like we're living on a different planet. Yeah. A totally different planet of what we're doing. Like before, how we got our energy and how we did it was a different world. And now, but I think you can get lost if you don't seek that out and you're not present, thinking about it, being conscious, right?
Yeah, and making conscious decisions, like, you know, like really knowing, like, what am I doing? Like sometimes I always ask myself, like, is what I'm doing good? Does it feel good to me? Like, does it feel like I should be doing it? Because I think when, you know, we were younger, or when I was younger, like even doing solo, I would do all of the things. Yeah. You know, but if you were able to dial back and be like, you know what, I'm only going to do a few things, but do it like fully. Yeah. You know, and I feel like that is how you could gain more presence in life as well.
I think that's what we're doing.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And it feels so good. Like it is weird to be on the other side. And sometimes people look at me and they're like, oh my gosh, like, how have you done it? Like you look so happy. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, it has been a struggle. I'm like, let's not, you know, it's been a struggle to unlearn, to figure out what is it that I need to now get curious about.
Well, I think we're painting a picture where it's all this rosy, like, this transition is hard. like you've had it where you're like, oh, I feel like I should be doing something. Yeah. And you've felt down about that.
Oh, very down.
And I've had days where I'm like, I'm doing nothing today.
Yeah.
And I got tons of energy. What should I be doing? I know. And you kind of beat yourself up a little bit.
You have that guilt. I had some major guilt for probably, you know, 6 to 8 months. It could even be a year. Like where I'd be like, I'm just sitting here. Like, because I feel like as running our business, like you said, every second was accounted for.
Yeah. Even in your sleep.
Even in my sleep. And I'd wake up and be like, oh, like ready to go.
I think that's the hardest thing for me to just still do 2 years later. Yeah. Is to do nothing. I'll be laying on the couch and I'll be like, I could do this, this, and this, and this. No, it's okay.
Does it feel good?
Yeah. So, you know, I might read a book. Yeah. Like, and I decided I'm going to read more books. Yeah. Because, you know, it's been a century since I could actually sit down and read books.
It feels good.
But then I set a goal. Read this many books. Okay, so I'm still work in progress. You know? Yeah. Like my friend who we talked every year, every month. Yeah. He just turned 60, he said in his email, and he's reading 60 books.
Wow.
For his 60th year.
Amazing.
But see, he's still got the business mindset. So I'm going to have to call him out on that.
Yeah.
Or he did a triathlon, like the 60-kilometer bike ride.
Right. But so I think that still drives us.
Yeah, and I don't think it's
a bad thing either.
I think it's better than getting up and having no structure to the day. For me, I think it's our personalities. Yeah.
And I kind of like having goals.
I like having goals too.
Right?
And I like having, like, I'm doing this, this, and this today. Yeah. And then I'm also going to do nothing for an hour.
Exactly.
But it's accepting that it's okay to do nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, totally. Oh, I think that was the hardest part. Or like, yeah, I don't know. It was all hard.
Yeah.
So but now coming out on the other side though.
Now you're finally coming around to being okay with whatever is next.
Yeah. But it's and then you actually I'm kind of proud of myself for like getting there, because I really could have just dug a hole. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think like if we look back 5 years ago, if we said today this is what we're going to be doing on the middle of the day during the week, you'd be like, that's crazy. I know. So now you can't judge what's going to be 5 years from now. No. Who knows? You'd be now, 5 years. Now. Remember this right now, because in 5 years, be like, can you imagine that we were going to be doing this in 5 years?
I know. And I think that's the best part, is just to like live, right? And I think, you know, being in business, we have goals, because that's how we saw things, right? Like even being in the furniture business, like I was purchasing furniture for like a year later. Like, so we were always thinking ahead. So even at Soul, like what's going to be the promotion in 4 months or you know.
Well, you have to.
You do have to.
So this is where you can just live right now.
Yes.
And
we're
that's
so lucky.
I do feel it's lucky.
Yeah.
I do feel very grateful.
Me too.
Because I think some people don't have this option.
No, they don't.
And they have to keep working, and they have to do a job that they don't particularly have any passion about.
Yeah.
So I do feel extremely grateful,
Yeah.
but I also feel like we set it up this way.
Yep, I agree.
Like nothing happens
without
some
planting
sacrifice.
a seed and some sacrifice. I do agree. Yeah.
So we had a long-term sacrifice to get here.
Yes.
Right.
And now look where we are, and we're not done. Like and that's why I was just giggling when you were saying like we have goals. Like, so I'm doing like started doing a cookie box. You know what I mean? Like, but now it was like I have a goal because like I want to be able to produce these many cookies. Like you just like you just get fixated on something else,
or potentially what we've been talking about, maybe doing a mutual coaching.
Yes.
Collaboration with your skill set and mine. We can just rock it
100%. Because I think the good thing about you and I is we have different strengths in a business, and then when we combine that, it is like, to me, that is like amazing.
It's powerful. I think we have different strengths, but they're complementary. But together, it's just like a it's like a fireball.
It is.
Don't you think?
Yes, and I think we're both so passionate about seeing other people succeed. I love being in the presence of anybody who wants anything to do with business, whether it's an entrepreneur. Like, it really fuels my fire. Like, it really gets me going.
Well, I just read this quote there. Somebody had sent a little message, and it said, leaders want to make their people better than them.
Yes.
And they're so invested in their success personally and in their workplace that's what makes a good leader. Yeah. And I think that's what I like. Yeah. I like making people better.
Me too.
Than me.
Me too.
Or they feel better about themselves. Yeah. Their business is better. It just fills me up.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important.
Oh.
And it doesn't have to be about business. It's like it can be your friends or your family. You build them up to make them feel better. Well,
that's what you did at your physio place, right? Like, you had physios that would come in, and that's what I did even at Soul, is I'd have these instructors that I'd never taught before.
And then them up.
And then to see what they were capable of doing. So I could, you can see sometimes what people are capable of doing and whether or not they're going to be open and receptive to what you say. But I will tell you, that was one of my most rewarding parts of my soul journey, was watching my team grow. Like,
that's why you're
I was Mama Bear.
Leader.
I was a Mama Bear.
But that's what you want to. You want to have that for people, right? Yeah. Build them up, and you make them feel better.
Yeah.
But I just feel like there's more time to do that.
Yeah.
To be conscious about it.
Yeah.
To think about it.
Totally.
Right?
So good.
It just, I don't know. This is, aging is not necessarily graceful.
No.
This is the other part that I find is kind of a strange transition.
Yes.
It's like, what's happening? With that? Why am I sore?
Yeah.
Wrinkles, whatever.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I think people look more beautiful with if you're healthy and
I think,
and you age.
And finding that inner glow, like finding that inner fire, I feel comes out in your look. It gives you glow, you know? So where there's all this, like, especially nowadays, there's so many things that you could do to your to face or to your body to enhance or to change. But I feel like if you can just naturally feed and fuel and fix what's in here,
then it just comes out from the inside. It's just a different kind of beauty, right?
It is.
Yeah, and I think people struggle with that. I see friends, I see other women, and I think I feel a little bit sad because they don't have that inner passion and drive and curiosity that doesn't really matter as much.
It
right?
doesn't. Yeah, it's a different feeling.
So that's a hard thing.
Yeah, it is a hard thing
to adjust to.
Yeah. But I think everybody has the capacity and the capability to find that within themselves. You know,
they might need help, like talking to people like this, right?
Yes,
to know that.
Yeah.
If you don't have the people, then maybe you just get stuck on the stuck.
Yeah, stuck. So that's the other thing too. I think I was mentioning to you is like finding people, right? A lot of people do have a hard time finding like an inner circle or finding someone that they really can connect with. Yeah. Which I have been so lucky all my life to have had such an amazing people come into my life at the right time and to serve a great purpose. Yeah. But I feel like if you are struggling out there, like maybe just plant the seed, say like, I want to find someone who I can connect with on so-and-so level, you know, whatever it is your interest may be. Or take it a step forward and throw yourself out of your comfort zone and try and find that person, you know, and try and make an effort. And then also think that if it doesn't connect, then it's just not meant to be, you know?
But it's about dropping the shame and the vulnerability, right? That you
ego.
don't feel, you feel like an imposter maybe, and you don't want to let anybody know.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I'm old, or my business isn't doing this. You have to drop it to be able to let those people in.
That's right.
Right?
100%. Okay, Jude, I have a question for you.
Okay.
What feeds your soul?
Now?
Yeah.
I think it's peace.
Ooh.
Like it's not, it's just a calmness in my life that I don't think I've had in 25 years.
Oh my God.
Or even before I got into physio.
Yeah.
There was the stress of 2 years of taking courses to get into it.
Yeah.
There was the workload in school.
Yeah.
Then starting a new job, right? And trying to figure out how to be a physio, start my own business. I don't think I had peace. Like, or if that's the right word, calmness.
I think that's right.
Where I wasn't always striving for what's next. Like I still am, but they're on a much less important scale. I want to be better at pickleball. I want to, but they're more valuable goals to me now than I want to build better relationships. I want to be more open. I want to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's what drives me now.
Oh my gosh.
Is to create calm.
On that note, we're going to do our final soul second. It's not a dance.
It's not a dance?
On the calm note.
Okay.
No, I end every episode with just being present in the moment. And we're just going to do like one deep breath collectively together. So you at home, if you're listening or you're watching, take this 1 second with us. And if you want to, you can close your eyes. And if you don't, that's okay too. But let's take a deep breath in through our nose. And exhale however you choose. And you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for watching these episodes. I'm getting a little emotional, and I have not in the last couple of episodes, but thank you, Talis, for giving me this opportunity to be able to share what's deep within my soul. And thank you to all of my amazing guests that I've had here. They filled my soul. So I hope they filled your soul too. And thank you so much for watching. And hopefully we'll see you in another season. Thank you for watching the Feed Your Soul podcast. Thank you, Judy.
Well done.
So good.
Well done.